Here we go. So welcome to our Align workshop related to our 2020 Educate for Life Sprint. I'm very excited about this session because I like to keep it super flexible, but I also want to make sure that we all get aligned around the sprint process, around how these sprint methodologies actually work and why we are following this methodology. So this is kind of to give you a quick download, especially to those of you who are not familiar with the sprint process and with exponential organizations and with the transformation process from scarcity, which is full of problems and limitations, right? And that's how we have created many of our institutions and systems, and transforming into now abundance, which is what we stand for. We want to find new solutions based on abundance. And we're going to work a little bit on that today in this session. And how that really works is what I want to give you a quick download on today. I hope you will enjoy that and appreciate that. And this is all part of the preparations for the 10-week sprint that we're about to begin. On Monday, we have the very first of the 10 sprint weeks starting. So I want to make sure that everybody has a good understanding of what we will be going through. Now, a lot of information and supporting content and supporting video calls will be delivered to you drop by drop, bit by bit, as we go through the sprint. So it's not overwhelming you with a lot of information and tools and content from the beginning, but I'm trying to serve things to you at the time where you will need it, or ideally a little bit before then. As we go along this journey, obviously I will be here to coach and support and guide, and we have a wonderful team of coaches who are all trained in this methodology that will be supporting you on this journey. So I'm looking forward to all of this. But I want to limit the scope a little bit for the call today. We have a couple of hours set aside here. I want to, as I said, keep it flexible. So feel free to let me know any information that you feel like you need now. Ask any questions that you have. And so I want to make sure we have time for that as well. I also want to make, yes?
Are you going to show in presentation mode? Because what I see on your screen is your slide, not presentation mode.
Yes, it's not in presentation mode. So let me just go into presentation mode as I'm introducing the agenda. Okay. Thank you, Carol. Yeah. It's easier to see now.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Thank you.
So what we'll do first is get to know each other a little bit more. And I'm very excited to have to see our community growing, to see the number of sprint participants growing, and you're all extremely welcome. We are welcoming you with open arms, and we want to play together as community friends who are on a mission here. So we'll do a brief round of introductions in just a moment. Then I want to give you an introduction to exponential organizations, because that has set of methodologies and way of thinking has certainly changed my life, and I make a living of helping organizations to transform, and I find this to be a super effective set of frameworks and tools and methodologies that we can use to create a new paradigm for education and transform what's called and defined as education today and bring it into the 21st century. It's about time to that somebody takes care of this, and I think we are the ones that can make a big difference in getting that done. So I'm going to introduce what we call the ExO attributes. And then we'll do an exercise together using these ExO attributes. We'll get back to this. Then I'll introduce you to the 10 weeks sprint, what we'll be going through. So you have a high level understanding of what's waiting ahead. And as I said, lots of supporting information will be given to you step by step as we go through the sprint. It's really only once we have been through it that we can look back and connect the dots and really understand the power of the sprint and how we can leverage this for additional projects. And there's going to be, I'm sure, an abundance of sprints and projects going on after this one, after this sprint, to keep transforming and solving problems at a grand scale. I'm going to also, at the end of this session today, to give you a demo of our community platform. You are essentially here because you already found the event link, and you've been doing a great job, all of you, in navigating already the platform, finding information. But I want to help you because it becomes increasingly important now that you know where to find information specifically in relation to this sprint. So I'm going to give you a brief demo. How does this work? Where do you find the information that you need in the coming 10 weeks? And how do we play together online? And then I want to close off today actually hearing some aspirations from each of you for the sprint. What you're hoping to achieve when we talk about changing education. What is the thing that comes to your mind when it comes to what could we do in this field? So that is my plan for this call for the next 1 hour, 45 minutes or so. And then obviously questions and answers, and feel free to stop me during the session, ask your questions, and that brings me to the first part of the agenda again, which is the personal introductions. So I'm going to just stop screen sharing. I'll get back to it later, but it's we want to make sure that everybody kind of gets to know each other. This is a very important part of being a community, being there to help each other, inspire each other, and so on. So this is important for me. So let's keep it super short. Where you live, if you have a personal MTP, then let us know what that is. And let us know a few things about yourself. Could be a fun fact, could be a serious fact, could be something that matters to you in life. And let's spend a minute or so per person, something like that. So who would like to begin the round of introductions?
Let me go.
Thank you, Carmen.
Okay, so what you wanted was where I live, my personal MTP, and sorry, what else?
It can be a fun fact or a serious fact or something about yourself.
Oh, nothing fun about me. Okay.
That's not true.
Okay, I live in Hong Kong. I just moved back to Hong Kong from Bangkok. So I've actually lived all over Asia before. My personal MTP, which I was developing when I was on the coaching training, was to develop a future-ready generation of people and organizations. Fun fact, hard to say what is a fun fact, but I guess I'm really trying to do this because I've been working, for many, many years. I've worked, in many different countries as well. And I've always been a hotelier, a marketer, a brander, customer experience person. So I'm really focused on the customer. But I think at this point, I would like to actually, because I actually read the book, Exponential Organizations, and I was really struck by, the idea of really having a purpose, to what I do. And so I'm trying to actually, this is a change, a point of inflection for me, to change, and how do I actually become more purposeful in what I do.
Great, thank you very much, Carmen. Getting purposeful, and you're definitely purposeful. And it's interesting to dive even deeper into what that means and how to develop that. Absolutely. Wonderful. Who would like to go next?
I guess I'll go next, Lars.
Thank you, Sabine.
I didn't jump to be first because I already kind of introduced myself last week, but I'm based in Toronto, Canada, and have lived here most of my life. I was not born here. My MTP is actually, it just evolved into the next iteration. It used to be Sustainable Prosperity for All. And now it's evolved to Sustaining Abundance.
Yes. Wonderful. Wow. I like it.
Thank you, Lars. I thought you would like that. And an interesting fact about me is that I was actually born in Bangladesh.
Really? I could know that.
So that gives me a whole other perspective on the global everything. And my focus has always been, throughout my corporate career and my consulting career, my purpose has always been to work to develop frameworks and methodologies and processes and stakeholder collaboration systems, etc. And I believe these aspects are really key to weave into any solutions. And as you had said, Lars, I think before, is like really figure out what is the problem that you're trying to solve. And you need systems and methodologies and frameworks. And this ExO Sprint is one of those valuable tools that you'll have in your arsenal.
It is indeed, yes. Fantastic. I love the MTP, and
thank you. I do too.
And just the new learnings that I just acquired about Jabin. So what? Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much, Jabin. So let me name the next person, right? So we can get introduced to everybody. Maria, why don't you go next? You just made a great comment in the chat. Maria, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, hey Lars. Okay, yes. Okay, I'll introduce myself. I'm Maria Morfin. I live in Mexico City, and I've lived here all my life, traveling to some places, but lived here all my life. And for this sprint, I think that most of what happens in humanity, both good and bad, I mean, in the bottom is the nature of human beings, but I think the next layer, it's education. So, and I really believe in, I think what everyone here believes, that we need to make a revolution, and I want to be, and I think I can give enough for this change to happen. Fun fact, I love painting, and I have painted since I have a memory, and I still don't have a defined MTP. I think that's something personal that I would like to come out with from the sprint as well as, you know, a solution, but and that would be cool too. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maria. Maria is, by the way, she created her own sprint team for this sprint. So I'm sure we'll get to know a lot about that during the sprint, but let's keep it in stealth just for today, I guess. But you feel free to share, Maria, anything later if you want about that. But we can certainly help you on the personal MTP. We even have kind of an e-learning course in our community platform about how do you develop your personal MTP. So happy to send you a link to where you find it. It's about a 60-minute session where you step by step follow a process and come out with a first revision of your personal MTP, and it will never stop evolving, I can tell you. So,
I imagine. Yeah, thank you. That would be great, Lars.
Perfect. Thank you, Maria. Yes, let's go to Sahar.
Hi. All right. So I'm Sahar. I'm from Bahrain. It's a tiny island close to Dubai, Saudi Arabia. I'm very passionate about, like others, making this world a better place, and specifically advancing education the way it is currently, right? So whether it's children's education, whether it's adults education, higher education, I'm really passionate about problem solving. So I really enjoy digging deep into problems and looking at what problems we can solve. What else I can say? My MTP, I'm still working on it. So I've had one, and then I'm not very convinced now. So I'm in the process of making a new one. Yeah. I love connecting with people from all over the world. I'm in a very, very tiny island. So I really enjoy, meeting people from all over the world. I lived in Australia and the UK and Saudi Arabia. So happy to be here and looking forward to it.
Thank you very much, Sahar. So we welcome on board. So it's going to be a lot of fun and learning and transformation. Excellent. Javier, would you like to go next?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Javier. I live in Spain, in the south. It's in a place called Almeria. Well, my MTP, I think I went through what you said, but I don't remember it exactly. I have to work on it. But it was related to SMEs, as I've been working in for the last years in an SME. I found that here, at least here in Spain, SMEs they work hard, but they don't really follow best practices and methodologies. So my MTP was related to that. I want to offer those professional best practices to SMEs. That was before I knew this sprint was so expensive. So I don't know if I will have to iterate it. And well, something interesting about me, I'm falling with this Educator Sprint. I believe in that education is the most powerful tool we have to change humanity and change problems that are tackling us in the world nowadays. And well, I just went through the ExO Sprint coach cohort, so I think I will be certified for next week. And I'm super excited about the methodology, about working with you, and I'm super excited about exponential technologies. So really happy to be here with you.
Thank you very much, Javier. Javier is kind of joining all the initiatives that we are launching, and for that and many other reasons, I'm full of gratitude to Javier, and he's an amazing community friend. So thank you, and excited to have you, Javier. Let's see, MB. I think you landed in your seat now. Would you like to go next?
Sure. So I'm Toronto based. I'm Canadian born, lived in the States for a while, have traveled many countries of the world with various musicians, but in particular Canadian Brass are one of our iconic music groups, which got their start right at the time that the Beatles disbanded, as a matter of fact. And they cross all the genres of music. For me, I grew up, I seem to live in the world on a very different level than most. I see things a lot of people don't. I changed the radio station in my little town of 20,000 people that had one folk music kind of, it was a dry town, very first town with a black mayor. And I was able to hear what was going on, international news, what was going on in the world when nobody else could. Music is at the core of my training, which I think is absolutely essential for all of us, music and movement. I feel that the world is at battle on the level of energies. So the more that technology and AI is here to best serve us, we're actually becoming, in a lot of respects, I see the abundance, but the abundance is actually creating pretty major issues, confusion and stress and sickness. And so I've been listening for many, many years and watching to see what it is and where it is that we have the data that has been existing for a great length of time for us to be able to study what it is that's been good, bad, and the ugly, because if we're in that, I think we can find our way forward. I'm up to launching opening day on a large scale with the new systems operations, methodologies, the frameworks, the collaborators to bring as many of the world together, as many countries in the world as possible, and thinking where it is that we all drop the barriers and can come together. And it really is in the nonverbal and healing ways of the world, allowing technology and AI to best serve us rather than we serve them. Because right now it's a rather touchy place. So I'm excited to be here from Canada. We have an extraordinary story to be told of Canada's love to its people, to arts, culture, and education. So inviting Canadians like worldwide and all those like-minded and those who are on, in those new systems, operations, ways of being together to help segue us. Whether this world works out or whether another, whether it's in another world, we will recognize one another. You know what that's like when you're walking down the street and someone looks at you knowingly and you don't know them. That is one of the most magical things. Right. So for me, and for many of us, it really is a magical time, but the time is of the essence. You hear it everywhere. Proud of the countries that are being responsible for recognizing the issues, the health issues right now, and closing the barriers, closing the doors. And what that's doing is nature in the world is forcing us, because we haven't been listening. Yep. And they're forcing us to get back to the core of who we are as people, allowing us to be in the world a different way, in a collaborative sort of way, get back to who we are and allow everyone and their strengths to come together. There's a place for all of us here to do this together. So I'm excited about all of this. I was very disrupted. I'm a disruptor, I'm a healer, I'm a connector. I see how we can, on a very large scale, how we can segue, how we can transition. It's easy for me for whatever reason. It's like first put water in the kettle and plug it in, right? So, I'm excited about all of it and looking for the great minds for us to come together worldwide. What better way to do it than in the nonverbal, and a group that crosses every genre of almost every genre of music is Canadian brass, and they're born out of Canada, but of two Americans who came to Canada because they saw the beauty of the country and the country that supported that group, but then did what Canadians do, and they managed to find their way in the world. It's a great case study, great opportunity to learn a lot of educations that are not in the system right now, but how they did it was in asking others what's important to you and what would you like to do together, and let's find a way.
Let's find a way, MB. Thank you very much for your introduction here, and I look forward to opening these doors together and bring your story to the world. Thank you very much. All right, Rodrigo, would you like to go next?
Okay, I will do my best. Hi everyone, I am Rodrigo Salazar from Santiago, Chile, South America, represent. Yes. I like to learn and read a lot, and I'm here because I want to be part of something greater, and I believe that education is one of the things, one of the fundamental things, and I want to do more than just see what it's going to happen or how it's going to be in a near future. Some serious fact about me. A couple of years ago, I was not very happy with my current profession or the job that I was performing. So I switched entirely to be an innovation consultant. I actually did the open ExO certifications, and now I am fully concentrated in helping organizations to the ones that that doesn't want to be disrupted. And also I am a mentor of some startups and some entrepreneurs, and I really like what I'm doing nowadays, and I believe that everything is possible if you have a certain goal in your life. And my draft MTP right now, it's exponentially transform businesses and people in the world.
Woo! Yes, which you are working on, Rodrigo, right? You disrupted your own life, you transformed, and now you're paying it forward, helping everybody after you to go through this process. Woo! Exciting. Thank you, Rodrigo. That's a very, very compelling story about your journey. Even it's just scratching the surface. I know that, but it's very exciting. We're looking forward to get to know you during this process and have you part of this journey. Thank you very much for being here.
Sure.
I saw Kai joining. Hey Kai, how are you doing? Let's see if Kai can hear me. I'm not sure Kai can hear me. All right, if Kai can hear me, then feel free to unmute and introduce yourself. And Crystal, did you do your introduction today?
Hello, everybody. Let me start the video.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So my name is Crystal, and I'm from Vietnam. I'm like just so excited like for this fun journey. Just imagine last year, like at the same moment, and last year I did like a completely different thing. Like I was in the finance and was like in financial management, and didn't have any purpose in life actually. And then just suddenly I I found OpenExO, and then found out about the exponential organization model. And that was like, that blew my mind. And then I quit the job and just like do and learn everything, and then just jump into this movement, and now I'm here. So yeah, just want to share with you my own experience, and then yeah, I'm totally very excited to work with all of you. And yeah, very happy to be here. Thank you, Lars, and thank you everybody for this opportunity.
And thank you for just jumping into the deep end of the pool and disrupting your life. It does come out at least 10 times better on the other side. Every single time you do it. That's my experience, and I'm so excited to hear every time somebody tells me they just did the same thing. Rodrigo did it. Everybody here has done it, right? It's amazing.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Amazing to have you here, Crystal, and have you part of this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Carol, over to you.
Hi, everyone.
Okay.
Okay, maybe first, I live in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I'm not sure whether you are familiar with Malaysia. Malaysia has 13 states. So a fact about me, although I live in Kuala Lumpur, I was born in another state, Sabah of Malaysia, which is also known as Borneo. And over the last few days, Malaysia government is going through a major, we actually don't have a government now. So in the last few days, we have been like reading a lot of the news and see what's going on, simply because there was this group of opposition parties try to do a hostile takeover by doing a backdoor taking over the government, and somehow not yet succeed, and the king has not decided what we are going to do. So, but life still goes on. For me, I'm very excited because personally, I feel that one of the way to change people is through education. Therefore, my MTP was to develop a creative, innovative ecosystem to transform life. Because if you can transform your life through better education, either formal or informal, it can help you to change your life, and of course, organizations as well. And I also hope to iterate my MTP further. And I'm very excited because education has been very, very passionate to me since I worked with the government agency, a few years ago, jumping into education. And I really empathize a lot on people involved in education, especially educator. You don't have a lot of money. It's not well rewarded, in Malaysia, but yet it's an important profession. I really hope to get a lot of ideas from this team. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Carol. And you're talking about disruption at government level even, right? So wishing all the best. Definitely hope this lands in a good way. And I'm very confident on the last note that we will find a way to help the educators who are working super hard, not paid or rewarded as well as they should be, and finding themselves in a challenging immune system where it's really hard to change things. I think we can do a lot for all these amazing people that plays a key role in our society. So thank you very much, Carol. I think we've been around the table. I don't know if Kai can hear me. Can you hear me now, Kai? No, I don't. I don't think so. So let me just close off the introduction round. I think I've introduced myself a couple of times. My personal MTP is resourcefulness for breakthroughs in every individual and team, with a line under resourcefulness. This is really what's inside each of us, but we really often are not leveraging all that resourcefulness. We all want to contribute in this world. It's one of the human needs, and but most are not really feeling they can find out how they can best do it. They are often not allowed to do it by their surroundings, and it's a lot of waste. So we need to help everybody find their way to bring out their own resourcefulness. This can be having a tremendous impact on humanity, I think, and how we can solve some of our big problems, which is part of why I've been transitioning away from being a super nerdy algorithm designer many years ago to now working in coaching and transformation and creating next generation organizations. So a fun fact, which is not always so, I have a couple of kids very engaged in a game just next door here. So pardon me if it's a bit noisy in the background, but they're having a lot of fun. So I forgive them. So that's a little bit about me. So with that, let's move on in today's agenda. Thank you very much for the introductions here. As I said, I put a lot of I think it's very important that we keep getting to know each other even better in this community. It means a lot for the mutual support and understanding, and for solving hard problems together. Let's move on to the teams. I want, as part of the introduction, also to briefly mention the sprint teams that we have ready by now on the start line for the week one that starts on Monday. We have in random order, but not least, we have opening day represented by MB here. So we look very much forward. MB has an amazing story to tell, as she mentioned, and this needs to be spread to the world as an incredible energy and opportunity in what opening day stands for. So an important initiative. We have Maria that we met, who is here on the call with the Trigger team from Mexico City. A very inspiring startup team that are going to look into some incredible opportunities as well. We have the Morpheus concept, which is very similar to actually the Planet Pilot team in what it wants to do. So I think we have here multiple teams that are going to look into the whole new paradigm of education that hopefully someday can entirely replace current educational systems, but at least become, for a period of time, an alternative to it that allows us as parents and children and business professionals to jump onto another educational platform where we can stand on and develop ourselves until one day, hopefully, that will be the new normal. So what that looks like, we don't know yet. This sprint is going to help us through the process to find out. The Morpheus concept is one initiative that is working in that direction. The Planet Pilot is another. And we actually have a couple of teams that we call the Planet Pilot. One is around kids. We are aiming at 7 to 15-year-olds for now, but that might be changed a little bit. Where we believe our kids are incredibly resourceful, and they hold the key to the future. And they're really good at coming with an open mindset, with experimentation, learning through play. They're curious, they care. Yeah, I could go on and on. The kids are pretty awesome and pretty perfect. Then we take them into the education system and educate them out of it. And so we need to change the dynamics. We need to create a new educational paradigm for our kids. And I'm doing it for my own kids. So I'm personally deeply invested in this. But we need to do something similar for business professionals, business owners, SMEs. For example, Javier is part of this team, to find out how do we keep upskilling ourselves throughout life, lifelong learning. And that team is going to be mentored by last year's new skill up team. That's the name of it. Also for adult lifelong learning. So this is an incredible knowledge base and teams that are full of energy and commitment and passion. And I cannot wait to get started on that. We have a community session where the new skill up team from last year is presenting the current updates, latest updates, and what they have been doing, where they are today. And then we're launching a new sprint team to kind of give this movement even yet another boost, and a new take on how can we actually solve for the lack of upskilling of adults that we are seeing generally today. So lots of activities will be going on there. The Zen Masters will be joining us again to accelerate this amazing initiative. And then we believe, I need to double check, but I think we have a University of the Future team as well ready on the start line. So lots of exciting work is waiting to be done here. Just to give you all a quick map of what we are looking at, the teams that we have in place. So it can only get transformational and exciting. And thank you, Kai. You just posted a note in the chat while I was talking. Yes, it's early morning in Vancouver, I know. So good morning, Kai. Cool. Have a wonderful day. So I hope you will stay with us for the session, and looking forward to have you as part of the journey. Great. So I just need here to my browser wasn't doing what I want. That was the round of introductions. I'll keep it relatively short, but it's important to give an introduction to what we keep talking about here, exponential organizations, and what that really means. So I have been bringing a little video where Salim Ismail, the lead author of the book, which I, by the way, of course, have right here next to me, the lead author of Exponential Organizations, he introduces exponential organizations. So let's just spend a few minutes listening to him, and then I'll be back to talk about the exponential attributes that were kind of coined in this book and described.
Our old way of building a business was to get an asset or a workforce, put a legal boundary around it, and sell access to scarcity. That's essentially the bedrock of business for the several thousand years. We're entering a new world where these new businesses that I call exponential organizations are actually tapping into abundance. Uber is tapping into an abundance of extra cars around. Airbnb is tapping into an abundance of extra bedrooms that are lying around. And by enabling that abundance via technology, they're creating new business models around this, which is very dramatically threatening the status quo. If you're Airbnb, the marginal cost of adding a room to your inventory is almost zero. right? If you're Hyatt, you have to build a whole new hotel. And so we're now going to see increasing numbers of industries attacked by new organizations that have a very low marginal cost of supply. And that's a huge challenge for an incumbent as to how do you deal with it. It used to be that disruptive innovation could only happen with a government research lab or a big corporate research lab. Today, we have a dozen technologies moving so fast at a cost of almost zero. Anybody can come into an industry with a beginner's mind, use new technologies, and completely make a massive change. Elon Musk may be the best example of this, right? No experience in the car industry, energy industry, solar industry, or space industry, yet he's created market leaders in all of those sectors. In fact, if you look at 3D printing, 5 years ago, how many people were aware of 3D printing in the room? Can I just use show of hands? Right, very few of you. 3D printing is a 35-year-old technology. It's not new, but it's been slowly doubling in its price performance for 35 years. So when your price performance is 0.001 and you double to 0.002 and you double to 0.004 and then 0.008, it takes a long time to get to 1. Then it starts taking off, 2, 4, 8, 16, and everybody goes, good God, what the hell's going on? Right? But if you can spot it early, it's a huge opportunity. If you don't spot it early, it's a hugely disruptive effect on your businesses and on society. If you can spot it early, it's the biggest opportunity you could ever hope for because you can ride that pattern all the way up. Something we're doing a lot today is advising large organizations as to how to deal with it. Right? And so we're dealing with many of the Fortune 500 companies at a C-suite or board level saying, listen, wake up and smell the roses. This is a fundamental new world that we're living into. And then kind of leading them through a process to radically transform themselves. And large organizations now have quite a challenge. What do you do as an incumbent if you have new entries entering your marketplace or industry with no marginal cost of supply? How do you compete? We've identified like 10 attributes like staff on demand, community, algorithms, dashboard, the lean startup methodology. We found that if you deploy 4 out of the 10, you get the 10x performance improvement. So that's what we call an exponential organization.
That's what we call an exponential organization. So that was the crash course on exponential organizations. Salim talked about many of the key components in his book, which when I introduce the book, I usually refer to the book as simply, I would say, not say simply, but it's a study of the realities of the fastest scaling companies out there, how they make their business model and their organizational model so flexible and so scalable, how they manage to have a very profound impact on the world. But the book also describes the immune system, the corporate immune system, organizational immune system that we have all been meeting again and again and again. And we meet it, I believe, because it's an important dynamic that protects what's already working, right? Our personal immune system protects us from bacteria, from viruses, hopefully in these days, right? If we didn't have our immune system, we would be dead. And organizations have an immune system as well to protect existing revenues and business models. So it's important to have an immune system. But the immune system also kills a lot of disruptive and innovative new ideas. So the book talks a lot about this, and we need to find a way to overcome this immune system, suppress the immune system. We cannot eliminate it, and we shouldn't, but we need to live with it and find a way to create the new paradigms, new disruptive ideas, evolve them, test them, bring them to market without this immune system attacking these potential dangerous new models. And the ExO Sprint that we are using also in Educate for Life is exactly doing that. It helps to suppress that immune system, so it allows disruptive new ideas to be tested through experimentation. This is why I think it is so important to have this kind of process and follow it and keep improving it, which is what we do. But the thing I wanted to cover in this session from the same book is the 11 exponential attributes. And online, you will find out that there's a lot of supporting material. I've already shared it. If you haven't found it yet, don't worry, you will find it. I will make sure you come across it. You can spend just a little time to brush up on this. You can skip it entirely if you're the master of this, or you can dive really, really deep with hours of content if you get excited about that. All of this is a possibility, but it's important everybody is aligned around some of the basics of the methodology and these attributes, because I think they can have a massive impact on the change that we can make happen as a community in the field of education. There are 11 exponential attributes, and the first one that we always mention first is the massive transformative purpose. And some of you have kind of feel super excited about your personal MTP, and some of you haven't nailed it yet, and all of this is perfectly normal. Keep evolving it. Organizations have an MTP as well, or rather many of them don't, but they should have. Every exponential organization has a massive transformative purpose, and that is the North Star, I would like to call it, that it's up there between the stars, but this is the North Star that tells the world the purpose behind this organization. And what it does is it describes the future state of the world that as we want it to be as an organization. And there are many excellent examples on this. Organizing the world's information is from Google, which makes it very clear that there's somebody behind a broader movement to organize the world's information. What would be the opposite of that? What would be a failure of organizing the world's information? That would probably be a disaster nowadays, with huge of terabytes of information being created every single day. This needs to be organized, right? And one company said, hey, this is our massive transformative purpose. In the book, there are many more examples, and I'll not go deeper into that today, but it's an important attribute. It's usually the first one that you begin working on when you try to apply these attributes on your own organization or on your own initiative. On the left-hand side of this slide, you see the scale attributes. And on the right-hand side, you see the ideas attributes. And the scale attributes are the external attributes. The external attributes are the attributes that will allow you to access an abundance out there in the world. An abundance of anything, really. An abundance of resources. The people who are going to work with you to help you spread the message, to help you develop new initiatives, develop the technologies, the solutions, be the users. So it's the external attributes allow you to connect to abundance out there. The internal attributes, the ideas attributes, allow you to manage that abundance. Because if you can connect suddenly to 1 billion potential students, as example, how do you manage that? Because you as individuals are not going to be traveling the world to serve 1 billion students. You need to find a way to manage this abundance, right? That's what you use the ideas attributes for. Now you can pick as many as you like of these attributes and apply them to the business models that you will be developing both in this sprint and in any other initiative that you're working on. You don't need all of them. Typically, if you're creating something new from scratch, a new exponential organization, you would probably apply many of these attributes. If you have an existing organization that you want to push a bit, to connect to some abundance, you would apply just a few of the attributes, at least in the beginning, to avoid triggering the immune system. So there are different ways of working with these attributes. For what we are trying to do, I believe, go all in, try to apply as many attributes as you can. On the left-hand side, let me just quickly walk you through these external attributes. The staff on demand would be the Uber driver. It could also be the teacher that you hire to come to your home to homeschool your child, right? Somebody you pay for their services. And it sometimes there are, you know, bad players out there that use it to exploit people's resources. It shouldn't be that way, right? This doesn't mean that you underpay. This means that you have a flexible model of bringing in the experts, bringing in the right people. Obviously, you compensate them the way they should be compensated and all that. But it's a flexible model, and more maybe just as important, it's not a freelancer, in the sense that a freelancer is somebody that come in and help you a bit on a project and leaves again. Somebody that fixes something on your website, that creates some graphic, that helps you on fixing something in your accounting, or whatever it may be. A staff on demand is a strategic resource that runs some critical business functions in your organization. So it's a strategic choice of using external resources because they are the best at what they do. They bring in the latest knowledge and skill sets and bring it right into the heart of your organization. So this is the staff on demand. The community and crowd, you're in the middle of a community right here. You're in the middle of many communities. A community is also around every sports association in your local city. Communities are everywhere, and they are extremely powerful in the sense that you can accomplish almost anything if you have a strong community. If you have no community, you would struggle to achieve anything, I would argue. The community in the exponential organization's perspective is really where you do your innovation work. You don't leverage your internal R&D department and keep things inside only. You should have an open collaborative model to innovate, to produce, to offer service. And imagine your community around the services you're offering. If that community is so passionate about what you do, so they provide support to each other, rather than you have an in-house support department that is a bottleneck, and they're working hard to provide support to the world. But what if the community just love what you're doing and they are able to support each other? Wouldn't that be a more flexible and scalable model? So that was, I think, the shortest introduction to the community attribute. The crowd is everybody outside of the community. It's important that they get to know what you're working on, get to know your community, so they would hopefully transition into your community at some point. Algorithms. I think it doesn't need so much explanation at a high level, because we all know that we could not function anymore without algorithms. We can hardly pay for anything without algorithms, because many payment systems are now electronic systems. At least in my part of the world, where we hardly use cash anymore, and if the servers are not functioning for a couple of hours, the whole society breaks down. So, like MB talked about, abundance creates some challenging things in our mindset, some concerns, some frustration, confusion, and anxiety, I think technology has its challenges, limitations as well. So we need to consider this balanced approach, but without algorithms, we couldn't really operate and certainly not at a large scale. So algorithms could be the blue dot algorithm I talked about in the Awake session the other day, that is mapping out contagious diseases that start spreading. So it does early detection of the spreading of a contagious virus. And then with that information, now you can put that on a public dashboard to warn the world that this is going on. Everybody, all platforms really operate on top of algorithms that are key. We will need that as well to support huge numbers of students and learners in the future with what we are creating here. Leverage assets is, some would say it's the opposite of brick and mortar and owned assets. So leverage assets would be, if you wanted to create a new school today, you might do it on a model, a traditional model. You say we need buildings, we need classrooms, all of that. That would be your own assets, which would represent a significant cost, operational cost, and this would be a challenge to your business model. And give you a lot of limitations. But if you consider leverage assets, that could be that you move your educational activities to a music hall, to a library, to a science park, or to people's own homes, whatever. Then you leverage assets of other people. And now you take a huge fixed cost and turn it into a variable cost. You just pay for accessing assets and using assets when you need them, right? So it gives you a lot of flexibility when you design the operational models to actually deliver your value proposition. The engagement attribute, it's very hard to operate at scale without and do it sustainably and with a great customer experience without considering the engagement attribute. How do you engage the end users of your services when you are not doing it personally? You all win people with your personality, with your amazing skills and charisma and all of that, and support, unlimited support, but your support will be limited when you start to operate at scale. So how do you keep your users engaged? This is something you need to design for, essentially. So those are the external attributes. And before I move on, there's a question. Can we think of algorithms as a way to access to the abundance of data? Can we think of algorithms as a way to access the abundance of data? Yes, you can. So there is an abundance of data out there, clearly, right? So you need to access that. So the data would, some would be private data stored privately, some would be public data stored publicly, and there will be combinations of this. So there's an accessibility function here. But what you want to consider for sure is how do you assess the quality of the data that you are accessing? This is a big challenge today with a lot of rubbish data out there. So you would certainly need algorithms to assess the quality of the data, to spot the right data sources, and then analyze the data. Once you have a good enough quality of the data, you start your analysis and generate the outcome of the algorithm, the recommendation, the prescription, whatever needs to come out of the algorithm. and be served to the end users. So it plays a huge role. Thank you very much for the question. Just pausing here before talking about the internal attributes. And are there any questions so far to this part? Seems not right now. Cool. Let me move on then. Rodrigo says nope. So you got it. You're quick learners, and all of you are, I think most of you, or probably all of you, are pretty familiar with the attributes. The internal attributes, let me just quickly walk through those as well. The interface would be the bridge between the abundance on the outside of your exponential organization and the inside of your organization. The interfaces are often web applications, mobile applications, APIs, any interface between the abundance of data and users on the outside and the inside of your organization. So the interface is it's hard to imagine how you can establish an exponential organization without a certain interface of some sort. So it's got to be in your design every single time, in my opinion. But I'd love to see an example without it that turns into an exponential organization. Once you have the interface, now, and you have the interactions with the abundance outside, you need dashboards as well. You're going to need dashboards to show what's happening in the market out there, what's happening with your users, what's happening with your services, what's happening also inside of your organization. And when we talk to organizations, they typically say, yes, we got it. We have dashboards. We tick the box. But it doesn't take long to realize that we're not really leveraging dashboards. We may have a few dashboards. Typically, manufacturing companies are pretty good at dashboards, right? And sales teams are really good at dashboards, and marketing. But it's just a very limited picture of everything that's going on, especially if you connect to your massive transformative purpose and want to paint a big picture of how we're doing in terms of changing the world towards the purpose that we have defined for ourselves. Now we're talking in very big lines here, but that could be interesting to keep monitoring how we're doing on changing the world actually, and have a live dashboard that shows that. Now, one thing I want to point out is the dashboards are listed here as an internal attribute, but you should make it externally available, in my opinion. You should be transparent because you are hoping the world will help you in this transformation journey that you're starting. You have a massive transformative purpose for a reason. That's to attract the people around the world that are equally passionate about the same purpose. So they want to come in and work with you. Now, they're going to need some insights to actually be able to contribute to the work that you're doing. So you're going to serve them some information, and the dashboards is the best way you can do that at scale. It's a tool and a way for you to communicate to the world around you about what's going on, what the current state of the nation. The dashboards, in my opinion, by default should be externally facing and open and live and all of that. And there may be exceptions where you need to keep information close to yourself. But in general, keep things open and transparent. Experimentation is also one of the attributes that you should always have in your design of your exponential organization. If you're not experimenting, I think you will come to a full stop at some point with your business. You will be disrupted. The experimentation is how you learn. That's how kids learn. They experiment and they learn that way. They try things and they keep trying things until they figure out, hey, this doesn't work, and let's try another way. And they will figure it out through experimentation. Amazon clearly keeps saying they are experimenting their way to success. Consistently have done it for many years now. You will see how they operate, how they make decisions. They experiment their way to success, period. You should do the same. Autonomy, this is the really challenging part for in our mindset and for existing organizations. It's to give people the freedom, set them free. If they're driven by your massive transformative purpose, if you share the purpose, and if they're really committed, set them free, let them be autonomous. And the best people are not working for us. They work out there. They probably work as free agents, but they will be happy to be part of your journey. But they will usually know better what we should be doing next. We shouldn't believe that we have the only truth. Be open to the fact that the world will have better ideas. They will know better. They will make better decisions. So why not just give the full autonomy to your teams, to the teams out there? And this is super challenging for transformation projects, but it's very, very important to be able to do anything at the big scale. Finally, social, which really is social technologies, and that doesn't mean Facebook and the social media channels. Social technologies are more like our collaboration tools. How do we collaborate live as virtual teams, as we are? We are sitting in all corners of our wonderful world here also today. How do we collaborate? And how do we exchange knowledge, information, all of that? And there are, almost an abundance of awesome social technologies that can help us. And a lot of it is free. So this is also super important, to be able to communicate with thousands or hundreds of thousands of people potentially, not only in your core team, but being able to communicate the social technologies is a requirement. So these are the 11 exponential attributes, just as a brief introduction. As I said, that we have a lot of video content supporting material on all of this, and it's actually already shared in I'm going to show you later where you find the assignments for the sprint here, and there's some supporting material, so you can dive into that if you want, but that is just extra content, and many of you would be doing very well with this. All right, let's play with this. Let's play a bit with these attributes. We love playing, right? We learn through play. So let me just take you into the little assignment, the little exercise that I have planned for us here today. Oops, I just need to copy the link here and put in the chat. And then I'll send you to, again, a platform page where we are going to play together for a little while. There we go. So in the Zoom chat, I have now put a link. Please, everybody, click this link. It will take you to one of our community platform pages. And I'll show it here on my screen so you know that you have come to the right place. Here. So And you will also find it from the feed on the front of our platform. The post is called Exercise Using ExO Attributes. And it looks like this. So you should see this on your own screen. And that's going to be useful because here you have obviously the 11 ExO attributes as a reminder. And let me just read out the scenario that we will play with here. The scenario is that you are a parent, you're joining the board of your local community school. Your own child, that could be more than one, is enrolled at the school. You find the school to be very limited on the resources, both when it comes to the teaching resources, the budgets, and they're not really, in your opinion, able to give enough individual support to each child. These are just a few of the challenges of this local community school. Everybody's working super hard, doing their best, passionate about kids, all of that, but they have these limitations. So the task that, let's play with this task for a little while. Consider each of the 11 ExO attributes that I just introduced to you, including the MTP. First thing, consider how each attribute can be applied on your school to help resolve some or all of the scarcity-based challenges that the school is currently facing, right? How could you apply exponential attributes on your school? Obviously, with everybody's permission, talk to the board, talk to the teachers, say, hey, I'm thinking about the community attributes. I have an idea how we can apply that. That could help some of these challenges, right? So consider each of the attributes, how you could apply them. Write your suggestion in the comments field below. And once you have done that, spend a little bit of time reading each other's suggestions and write some thoughts and comments. There are no wrong answers here, I believe. Just a lot of good ideas. And who knows if that could inspire somebody to start working on solving some of the challenges that the existing school system have. Dylan already got started here, so there's already an example showing an MTP, showing staff on demand, and the other attributes, how Dylan thinks that they could be applied. So go ahead, spend 8-10 minutes or so playing with these. You don't necessarily have to use all the attributes, but at least some of them. So keep up the good work here. Post your attributes in the comments section, and let's see what you come up with. Any questions to this little exercise? Otherwise, enjoy. I'll put on a little bit of background music while you're working. How are things going? Getting some ideas? Working on it. Great. I'll just give you another 2 minutes or so. So you don't want to cover all the 11 attributes, I think. So if you have another few minutes, then we'll wrap up this part of the exercise. Thank you, Carol. Definitely, man. Parents will be able to level students. You're proud. You have to remember some students time. Leverage assets. Identify this available facility. Made available to implement use collaboration tool in our facility. Super. We get hard for me here. Thank you, Carol.
Yeah.
I think you know, I think we could transform schools by applying exponential attributes. So we're just dipping our toes a little bit here today, just to get the hang of the attributes and get into the educational theme.
Yeah. Actually, when I was just typing this out, right, is very good that we can like use these attributes to generate ideas. And
yes. Yeah. Yes.
And I wish this can be implemented in our public schools. That means government-funded school, which is very difficult.
It is.
I know that the international schools, they do that. They get parents to help out.
Yeah. Yes. So some schools are good at this, right? And some schools needs to discover that this is a possibility.
Yeah, I agree with the regulation. The public school in Malaysia, right? No one can step into the school, you know, without pre-approval.
Yeah.
Even parents, they only go when you are in the parent-teacher association. meeting.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay, that makes it a bit challenging, right? But it shouldn't stop parents from forming a community which could do their magic, you know, outside school premises and run activities and these things, right? There should always be some opportunities to be found there, and schools should be community driven, right, by default. But in many cases, they're probably not. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Excellent. What else do we have here? And Carmen, yeah. Staff on demand, work with the local university to hire their education faculty students, yeah. To do part-time coaching like that, tutors, crowd and community, parents and alumni to fundraise, yeah. And business execs, yeah, I like that. Algorithms. By the way, I'm sure your local business school and other schools would love to have you knocking on their door and say, "Hey, I would be happy to donate 1 or 2 hours of my time to come and talk about." Could be abundance, could be let's discuss a challenge you have here and see if we can solve that together, right? Donate a little bit of time to your local school. I'm doing that, and it's a lot of fun. It's very rewarding to meet students, and so it's just a suggestion to, you know, go and interact, and they will love it. I'm sure. Excellent. Carmen gets a heart for me, and Crystal, democratize qualified education. Let good pupils teach the others. I would even say maybe let all pupils teach each other, right? But that is to be explored. Community, do-it-yourself community of educators, engagement, dashboards, yeah. Experiments, social, you get a heart as well, Javier. Educating from outside in, love it. Staff on demand, education platforms, yeah. Community when possible. And educating inside out, thinking that we already have teachers and it's hard to fire people, yeah. It is hard to fire people, isn't it? Leverage them and bring them to the world with a camera and internet connection. By the way, that reminds me of Friday. You're going to love Friday about digital storytelling. We have a community session there, which you definitely wanna join. Community, people that find it hard to pay for schools or ill at home, right? Tons of opportunities here. Javier gets a heart as well here for that. Excellent. Keep playing with this, but in the interest of time, we need to move on to the next part of the agenda here. Sahar writes about regulations are the biggest immune system. It's definitely is there to avoid, you know, things to go totally out of control, but that is a challenge in itself if we want to evolve things, right? So thank you very much for being part of this little exercise. It was just to get the EXO attributes a little bit under our skin, because we are going to use them big time in the coming 10 weeks. So keep playing with this exercise, definitely. Right, so let me give you a quick introduction to the 10-week sprint that we are going through. And for some of you, you have been doing this quite a few times, so you know it. And for others of you, this is new to you. So I'll go into presentation mode and give you the brief introduction to these 10 weeks. Now, the 10 weeks are shown here. I often choose to see this as two parts. There's the first half part of the sprint, which is for defining exponential initiatives. And then there's a second part, the last half of it, which is to refine what we started defining in the beginning. Right in the middle, we have what I believe to be a big part of the magic sauce of the sprint methodology, which is the Disrupt workshop. The Disrupt workshop is where we intentionally try to disrupt the way we see the problems, the way we see the solutions that we're working on. We try to apply a 10x thinking and see how can we do this 10 times better, faster, cheaper, more effective, more impactful, whatever metric that we find to be important for us. And this is where I believe this methodology stands out from a lot of other sprint processes and hackathons and these things, where you also get good ideas and you also test them, experiment with them and pitch them. Right? We do the same in this 10-week sprint, but we intentionally try to disrupt what we are trying to do, and we get external help to do that. You will also be presenting to a panel of disruptors that will help us take everything apart and then put it back together again in a new 10 times or 100 or 1,000 times more impactful ways. So this is part of the magic in the sprint process. The beginning, let me just quickly introduce you to each week here. We have already done the awake, which is, let's look at what's happening in the world today. Because we all live in our little cubicle, right? We all live in with a focus on certain tasks and certain focus areas, right? So we are often not seeing the big picture. We never probably see the really big picture, right? So let's exchange some viewpoints and some observations of what's happening in the world today. And we did that a bit in the Awake workshop. Today is the Align, to get us aligned around this methodology. And then on Monday, we begin the week 1. Sprint week 1 is called Explore. This is where we do as deep as we can research on disruptive technologies, exponential business models, global trends, global challenges, startups that are already doing interesting things in disrupting education or innovating education. We want to map that out. We want to find out what's really going on here. We want to find inspiration from this, but we also want to learn from failed experiments, right? No need to repeat failed experiments of others. We should learn from them. Just like we should be open to share our failures, which is our learning, right? And as a community, I hope we'll all be open and willing to do that. So the research week is really exciting. Everybody always get super boosted by discovering that what is actually what you're able to do today with technologies and what is possible. And what is possible is just amazing when you realize it. So that's what we're doing in week 1. This leads to inspiration when it comes to sprint week 2. That's the ideation week. This is where we define the problems that we want to solve as well as we can. And we begin to brainstorm on how could we solve this problem. I'd like to go for moonshot ideas, but it could be a more core idea as well. Similar to what we just did in the exercise, that would be core ideas. We want to preserve the school that we have. We want to preserve the model and everything, but we can adapt it. We can improve it through exponential attributes, right? But we would probably, to a large extent in this community, do a lot of moonshot thinking, because we have the opportunity to start from scratch. We're not bringing any legacy in here. We're not bringing any brick and mortar. We can do anything we like, starting with a clean canvas, right? So in brainstorming, it's about getting a lot of ideas. To get a good idea, you need to have many ideas. So this is why I'm stating here that we will go with 10 different ideas in the beginning. That's what we're aiming for in week 2. Now, we need to rapidly test whether, could we do this? Could we do these 10 initiatives? Would they work? And it's hard to say when it's just an idea on a napkin. So we'll do a little bit more than the napkin version. We are going to work on describing what could a business model look like in terms of what value are we going to deliver, how are we going to deliver it, who's going to do it, what's it going to cost, and how can we generate income to cover the cost and profit if needed. So we're going to work on that. Then we are going to experiment with these ideas. We're going to really get out of the building and test these on real users, real students, real educators, real customers, whatever your customer segment is. We're going to get out of the building and test these ideas through experimentation in week 3. And in week 4, we are kind of narrowing down based on the learning we've had from the experimentation. We're going to select the much fewer initiatives that we'll be presenting to the panel of disruptors. Now here we should have a pretty good idea about the problem that we are really passionate about solving. We should have some interesting initiatives, still at a high level, not super detailed, but some initiatives that could work. We don't know yet if they will, but they could work. Then we present them to our disruptors, who will come in and disrupt us and take them apart and help us also to put them back together in more exponential ways. Now we begin the second part of the sprint, as I said, which is about refining, and it's about keep applying exponential thinking, exponential attributes, suggest new technologies that could help you to scale and turn things into even more impactful initiatives. So we'll, as you can see in week 6, that's called the prototyping week. Now this will be a very low fidelity prototype. So it's not like, hey, we need to build a machine, we need to build a school in a week. That's not what we're talking about here. This could be a simple landing page, it could be a survey, it could be something else, it could be a visual wireframe, something that helps your potential users out there to understand what you're pitching here, understand what you're trying to do, so they can give you more meaningful and useful feedback. That will help you to make decisions whether you should continue to work on this. So we are rapidly testing ideas before investing in them. That's the point here. We would rather fail fast rather than take somebody's money as investment, build something and then fail. This is what many companies do, and they wish they hadn't, right? But if you don't experiment, if you don't try something, you will never move forward. But in this process, you can actually quickly test your hypothesis before taking any investments and actually before building anything. That is the power of the sprint methodology. We'll find out how far we get, because if you're going to build a spaceship where you want to run some educational activities, you are not going to finish a prototype on MVP during the sprint, but there could be other things that you're developing that you could manage to do during the sprint, especially with the help from outside. And we have a community here. We have very resourceful people. We have a lot of talent, also technical talent that could help to put things together, put a prototype together, put things together that shows us what you have in mind, what you're trying to build. So we'll get as far as we can in terms of building things, but we're not investing in this yet. We want to complete the market validation of what you're trying to do. So this happens in week 7 and 8, where you get out of the building again. You really test your hypothesis to find out, is the market interested in this? Or they might say no, but you're still interested in pushing this out. That would be your decision, but you need to make informed decisions. So your testing, your experimentation gives you that feedback from the market on which you will make your decision. You will be launching in week 10. That means that you pitch your initiatives to a panel who will give you feedback and guidance.
Lars.
Yes. Yes, question.
No, I lost you just now a bit. It's my internet connection. Sorry.
Okay. Okay, Carol. So you'll get the recording of this session, but I'm happy to take questions. Just a second more, and then I'll open up for questions. So the initiatives obviously are not funded, and initiatives are not becoming fundable until they have really shown that they can be validated out in the market. We are able to do quite a lot of validation of your initiatives during the sprint, and then it's going to be super interesting to see at the end of the sprint, are you as a team interested in implementing what you are pitching here? And if you're not, it's okay. But if you are, we as a community are super interested in supporting you, hopefully attracting the right partners, whatever type of partners that may be. Could be investors as well, could be users, large user groups, could be educational partners, clients, and so on. So we're super interested in continuing that journey with you at the end of the sprint. Seen isolated, the sprint begins in week 1 on Monday and ends after week 10 with the final pitch and the feedback that you're being given. Then you as a team will make your decisions what you want to do with this, right? I hope some of what you do, or maybe all of it, will turn into reality at some point. I really want to make this community available to you to support you on making that happen. Let's see if we can create new businesses here, or new initiatives, new services, new communities, whatever comes out of this. That is the very short introduction to the 10-week sprint that we are about to begin together. Any questions?
Last, I have a question.
Yes.
Does it mean that, for example, if I have a specific project that I want to work on education, I would have to form my own team?
So there are different ways. So you can bring your own team. This is one option, right? Okay. Maybe you know the people already you want to bring in. Then invite the team. And there's another question related also here from Crystal about team formation. So let's have a look at that now. Timing is perfect for that. Let me just share the community space, and then I'll answer your question. How do you how do you do this? How do you start a team? How do you get started? I'm just sharing my screen here. There we go. So here, as you know, this is our community platform. In the groups section, in the menu to the left, you see groups. If you click groups, you're going to see the different workspaces. Each group has its own workspace here. Now you, Carol, you can bring your own team, as I said. If you know the people you want to work with, or just a few people you want to work with, bring them in here. You can invite them. You can also create your own work group here. You should all have access in the top of this page to the plus. If you click the plus, you can create your own workspace here. Once inside a workspace, you can invite people. Also, people who are not member of our community, people who are not in the community platform, you just need the email address and you can send out an invitation to them. So this is one option. Another option is you still want to create your own team, but you don't know people who should be joining you. Now this is an interesting thing, because there might be others in this community, in our community, that would be interested. So what you need to do is announce your idea. Say, hey, I'm Carol, and I am really interested in this particular challenge. I want to work on that in the sprint. Who wants to join me? One way you can do this is if you go to the home page of our community. In the top here, you can share what's on your mind. Simply click here and write your story. Hey, this is Carol. I would love to form a sprint team, right? And then fill in the blanks. You write your story about what is it you really want to accomplish, and you want to build a team. Then you click post, and you'll see from responses whether there's an interest in joining you in building a team, right? I'm very happy to help on recruiting members of your team, so feel free to message me directly as well. It could also be a combination of community members and people you know from your own network. So you can create your own team and bring them in.
How about if I see some of the other groups
yes,
topics are very interesting that I like to volunteer to be part of the team or join the team? How is it?
Yes. To my knowledge, and I'm pretty sure I'm right, all the groups are very welcoming and open to have new members of their team. So what you're going to do is contact the group, and it's actually very simple. So from a practical perspective, could be you want to contact the Morpheus concept, for example. Okay. If you're not already a member of the group, there would be a join group or request to join button here, and you click that, and the group members will get your request, and they will then grant you access to the group. And when you get into the group, we'll do this. Let's have a look at the Morpheus concept here. You will see Michael here. And Michael, who is the initiator, the founder of the Morpheus concept. Michael is actually explaining the underlying philosophy of this project, of this concept, and he is looking to build a team. He says here, let me start by asking who of you is interested in working on this during the 2020 sprint, right? So he's showing, hey, I want to build a team. Are you interested? And then you simply respond to his post in here and say, hey, I'm Carol, I'm interested, right? If you're not interested, you could have a look at the other groups as well and see what they're doing. and find out which ones could be really, really interesting to join. You're welcome to join more than one group, but be mindful about the time that you want to dedicate time to each group that you join, of course, and contribute to each one. So, but you're free to invite yourself to a conversation with each of the groups and join the groups. All the groups I know are very, very open and welcoming to grow their team. Some of the teams are pretty small, three people, for example, so everybody could use extra hands, and certainly someone like you. So feel free to engage in that conversation, and also here, let me know if I can help you. Happy to help.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, can I have one question also? Like actually in that group I saw that there are some groups of last year. So for this group, do they continue for this year, or it's just like previous year, like it's a project that is not
so I have
year? Yeah.
Yes, I have just moved last year's group into
that's cool.
mode.
Yeah.
Yeah. And secret mode means you are definitely, everybody's fine to see them. So it's not that they are secrets, just they're hidden. So you cannot see them anymore as of earlier today, actually.
Yeah, that's cool. Thank you.
Yes. So the groups you see now are the ones that are active and the ones that you could join. Just keep in mind, a few of the groups are more like discussion groups. They're not sprint groups. For example, there's one called Discussing Existing Innovation. This is more like just an open discussion group. It's not a sprint group. But feel free to join any of these and contribute. And then have a conversation in the group, in each sprint group, about what are your ambition levels you want to align around. Do you have similar ambitions with this sprint, right? And some are dedicating a lot of time to the sprint, and some can only dedicate limited time because of work and family and other commitments, which is absolutely understandable. So you want to find out, are you aligned around how much time you can each dedicate, and is everybody okay with what that looks like, right? Maybe you're okay, maybe you say, hey, Lars can only contribute 3 hours per week, and somebody else contributes 10 hours or 15 hours, and we're all fine with that. If that's the case, great. I wish you all the best on the journey. If you're not fine with that, I think it's about saying it was a great conversation, looking forward to be a community friend, but I'll find another group because I can only commit this amount of time, right? Or I think you're not ambitious enough. I want to go all in and work with a full-time team, if that's the case. So have that conversation immediately with people. So you are on the same page around, okay, this is how we would like to work together. Yeah. That help? Yes.
Yeah, Lars, I think also maybe Jabin's question, right? So when every group will be coaching themselves as well as the team member, how does it work?
It works. We are very privileged in this sprint, I can tell you, and I'm very happy to say that we have quite a large coach team, all certified, trained ExO coaches available to all the teams. This year, and I'm actually just about to open up. There's going to be a page where you see the profiles of all the coaches. So what you can do as a sprint team is to reach out to any of these coaches and invite them to come and coach you. And they will be giving you some of their time to coach you as a team. You can coach yourself, and in particular you can, right? But I would suggest to you, I'm doing the same thing myself. I'm going to be in one of the sprint team, and I'm reaching out to a fellow coach because I think coaching should be someone else coaching me. I need external feedback. I need somebody to look at me from the outside and tell me if I'm exploring all the options I should be exploring, tell me if I'm chasing the wrong rabbit or whatever's going on. So yeah, I suggest you all reach out to one of the coaches on the list that I'm sharing very, very soon, and get coaching from somebody else in the community. Yeah.
Okay.
Did that help, Carol?
Yep. Yep.
Great. So you're going to see that page tomorrow. Actually, I'm launching that. You're going to see everybody who has volunteered to be a coach in this sprint, and there's a lot of coaches on that list, and it's amazing. So that's a privilege for all of you, and for me. So, all right. Any other questions to this part? No? Yes.
Can I have, yeah, one more? Actually, and I want to ask, what's about the other community members that have registered to the sprint, but they don't like actively participate in the groups?
Yes, so some are great at kind of jumping right in and say, hey, I need to get into this work group. I'm introducing myself and all that. Some are really fast, and that's fantastic. And and some are kind of probably super busy doing their daily life, and they haven't still joined the group. What I did a couple of days ago was to kind of email everybody that hasn't shown up in their work group yet, and remind them. And I actually sent the specific link to the work group that they should join
I see.
as a reminder. Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
I've sent out reminders, but some obviously need a little bit longer turnaround time to join and get involved. So, which is understandable. Yeah.
Thank you, Lars. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Crystal. Very good question. So I can see the traffic on our platform is starting to ramp up. So the reminders are working very well. And it's also absolutely fine to shift to another group. There can be an abundance of reasons for that, and it would all be fine. If you want to shift to another group, you can do that. And you don't need long explanations. You can let me know. I can help you to transition, or you just join another group and tell your current group that, sorry guys, I have to move to another group. You don't need long explanation. So you can do that. I would recommend that you do any shifts to other groups as early as you can in the sprint process. The later we get into the sprint, the harder it gets to kind of hand over the work you're doing, the knowledge that you have built, and so on, to others, and remove yourself from the work that you have taken on yourself, right? What I want to show you here also before we wrap up is in the menu, there's a menu item called 2020 Sprint Assignments. This is an important one for you who are joining the sprint, because this is where you're going to find all the specific instructions and sprint assignments for the rest of the sprint. Let me show you what it looks like. And it should be simple to access, but you need to know that it's here. This is what it looks like when you click the link. And I can see that there are many of you in here already. So you see, welcome to Educate for Life 2020 Sprint. That's the welcoming screen, and you click continue. Or maybe you see a button join, something similar in the beginning, and you should be able to get right in. And then you get an overview, a briefing on what you'll get from the Educate for Life Sprint, what we expect from you. Be active, engage with your peers, ask and answer questions and so. Be a good community member, right? Be active. Otherwise, it's not as useful for you or for anybody else. So when you get to the bottom of the page, you see what's called a session. And here there's a session called the preparation phase. This is useful for you if you haven't done a sprint before, I hope. And in here you will find descriptions, you will find links to resources. There's a whole preparation course that you can do to learn more about working as a virtual team, get an introduction to this platform, and many other things. There's a link in here if you need that. If you don't, just skip it. Then we have the Awake session, and that's what we did a few days ago. You will find the recording of the Awake session in here. And you will find the exercise that we did. There's a link to it. Then the next session is about getting introduced to the ExO Sprint methodology. So this is kind of what I've done today. And there's a lot more material in here. I can say there's a lot. There are many hours of material if you want to dive into it. Many of you wouldn't probably do that because you know everything there is to know about that. So here's the ExO attributes exercise that we have done today. So you can find your way back to it. There are some bonus content as well, some videos that I created a while ago about the ExO attributes. They show more examples of each attribute. And from here on Monday, this is also where you find the week 1 assignment with different instructions and guidance and supporting material. And this is where you begin to work also with a coach. You will reach out to a coach and get together with your sprint team. Each sprint team will be given a Zoom room. So it's going to be a paid account, paid by Lars. So your team can meet in a Zoom room as often as you want and need and collaborate. In this platform, you're going to get instructions on the different collaboration tools we are going to use throughout the sprint. So you will get those instructions. They will be sent out to you in your groups. So I hope that helped you to find out where you find the specific sprint instructions and assignments. Any questions to that part?
Does it mean that we have, for example, if let's say I want to start a new topic, do I have to form my team by end of this week?
That would be ideal. If you can do it before end of this week, that would be great, because then you can start right away on Monday with the first assignment. But the thing about this particular virtual sprint here is that it's more asynchronous. It's like you can actually catch up even if you start a bit later, because you have all the assignments in here. And you're going to see also the first sprint week, which is the Explore. It's about research. You're going to see that the teams are going to actually accumulate all the research into one pool of research. You'll see next week. That means that you would benefit of being late to the party and get access right away to a lot of research already done, right? So you could actually be late to the party and still get up to speed, and that's perfectly okay. So if you need to start next week, that's also possible. The later you start, the harder it will probably be to get up to speed, but it's possible. And it's even possible to come back a few months from now and actually follow these assignments with the team, right? Even totally out of sync of this sprint. That is possible as well. But then you wouldn't have the synchronous support of the community who knows that the sprint is going on right now and they're willing to support. if you do this a few months from now, you would be the one asking for help, and that's great. And I think you will get it, right? But now we are kind of creating a wave of mutual support around the sprint that starts now and ends 10 weeks from now. So the earlier you can join, the better, Carol. Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. I really hope you will. Sounds exciting. I think you should invite a team and join. Excellent. So we have done the demo, and we did a lot of aspirations in the beginning of the call, and we are running over time here. So I think we are happy with the aspirations we shared in the beginning of the call, and I want to thank you all for being part of this Align session. I hope it helped to get alignment around the sprint process that's about to start. I do recommend you to also bring a bit of patience into the process, that there will be a lot of more knowledge about the process shared at the time when you need the information. This is what I'm trying to do. And but do reach out anytime that you have questions or concerns or thoughts or ideas or suggestions. I'm all ears, and I'm very, very eager to on short notice to implement new ideas, also in the sprint process, in the way we work or the tools we use. So please, let's learn from each other and inspire each other, and go and change the education space out there. It desperately needs it. Yes, Jabin, trying to keep the fire hose under control. I'm not concerned. I am opening the fire hose at full speed. So let's give it everything we can here. So if there are no more questions, let's wrap the session. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lars.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Lars. Bye,
Have
everybody.
a wonderful rest of your week. Keep an eye on the workspace. You will get the briefings there. So see you soon, everybody. Have a wonderful sprint.
Take care. Bye-bye.